If you've been so close to your product for so long, you forget how people view you, your buyer.
Yeah.
And one of the biggest and easiest next steps that I have found, that we have found in this process, is getting your message clear in the realm of speaking to your customer's problem. Clay, I got a coffee fact for you.
Yeah, we're gonna talk a lot about increasing revenue, ramping up those conversions, and a little bit about coffee.
Hey, Clay, I got a coffee fact for you.
Oh, bring it.
So a lot of people don't know this. Maybe you could guess this, but coffee is actually the #1 traded commodity globally.
Brilliant.
The only thing that surpasses it is oil and gas, which,
Well,
yeah.
that's a great way to kick off Coffee and Conversions.
Hey.
Yeah. Welcome to the Coffee and Conversions podcast, everybody.
Welcome. I'm very excited about this show.
Yeah, we're going to talk a lot about increasing revenue
Yep.
and ramping up those conversions and a little bit about coffee.
Well,
Because that's all you need.
Yeah.
Just 1 cup a day, maybe 2 or 5. And,
I don't know.
how many cups?
I asked people on LinkedIn about this, and I've got a wide range of how many cups people are drinking.
All right. So what cup are you on right now?
I'm on #1
Okay.
currently.
This is technically my second
Okay.
cup of coffee today. So
There we go.
there
We're
you
doing
go.
well.
We're doing well. All right. So we're going to talk today specifically about this common problem that we face with folks reaching out to us. And they don't realize it's a problem until you state it and they're like, light bulb moment.
Right.
And
Right.
it's inconsistent messaging. Having sales saying one thing, marketing say another, or I'll give a really vulnerable, raw example. Wait, that sounded a little weird. So Chamber of Commerce.
Yep.
Some of the most awkward conversations you'll ever have is at the Chamber of Commerce. And rewind about 15 years, and I remember it like it was yesterday.
Young Clay entrepreneur.
And Do-Si Do Cafe in the Woodlands off of I-45.
Yeah.
And there were about 150 present in the room.
Which is a young entrepreneur. That's
a lot.
You're like,
of
this is
people.
amazing.
Well, it's a lot of people. And I was like, oh, all of these people could be my clients. I'm going to be rich. None of them turned into my clients. But I'll tell you why. And it's because you get a chance to do a 30-second pitch or roughly 25-second pitch. And you see the number dwindling down.
Right.
You're going around in a circle.
Right.
And you're like, oh, crap, it's getting closer. And everyone else seems to know what they're talking about. And oh my gosh, the guy right next to me, he's giving it. That means I'm next. I'm not listening to anything he's saying. Yeah. In fact, I'm pretty sure no one's listening to anything anyone is saying. They're just listening or thinking about what they're going to say.
Yeah, right.
Which I think is half the problem with our society. But I will say, when I got up and spoke about what I did, I said, I have this really cool drone and we can film your apartment complex from the sky. And it's awesome. Yeah. And I'd love to talk to you about that.
Yeah. What was your business at the time?
Mainly did websites and video. And I had this new drone that I had gotten, and it was kind of cutting edge for consumer electronics. Yeah. And no one did business with me, but I did have 2 people. Yeah. It was 2.
Okay.
Yeah, I had 2 people come up and talk to me and like, hey, what drone do you have? I have this one. And anyway, so simple fact is, if you don't know how to communicate about your business, you're kind of up a creek. So,
but everyone thinks they can, because I think when you and I have potential clients come to us and we've worked in industries from SaaS to financial to industrious to, I mean, we've worked in a lot of different industries, and it's the same kind of thing when someone comes to us. If we ask them, hey, what do you guys do? What do they start talking about? Same thing you just went down. Well, I've got this feature and it's revolutionizing the market. It's doing this way. We've always done things different. People don't get it. Like this is how amazing we are.
We're so special.
And if you and I in our marriages now went like first date with our wives, we're like,
oh, that'd be awkward.
Hey, babe. Well, I guess it's not a babe there yet, but like,
it's really interesting that you're saying, hey, babe, to me.
To you. This makes it really good.
Yeah.
Let me talk to the camera. Hey, babe. So, but this is the same kind of thing, right? If we were to get it, everyone knows this, we're getting into a relationship and you start going down, well, I've done this in my career. I'm really good at this. everyone knows it's like, it's a loss.
Yeah.
That's a
you
loss
will
of that.
Lose
yeah.
that
You're
date.
no second date.
Yeah.
And so the same thing happens in business, right? Especially for, startup founders, especially for someone who founded a company or even the marketing manager, we start talking about how great we are and how much better we are than competitors. What's the issue with that? Right? What's the issue with that as well? I'm just talking about myself the whole time. And you and I both know that that's what ends up creating the inconsistencies is I talk about myself, and then on the website, we need to talk about all our features, but then the salesperson is trying to sell something. They kind of understand the customer, but they're still selling the feature. And because of that, marketing is told to go pitch all of the things about how we're better than our competitors. And it just gets so muddled in there.
Yeah.
It's frustrating.
It's so frustrating. And I'll also just speak directly to any small businesses. So I'm the fractional CMO for a oil and gas company out of Houston. And I've been guiding the founder and owner. They're sub 10 million in revenue. So not a small business, but still a lot of hats being worn by the owner. And their consistent issue in the industry, not just in her business, but in the industry, is sales. Unless you're selling a specific widget in oil and gas, sales is kind of a weird job. I mean, when you're talking about permitting or when you're talking about some sort of consulting role. And so I think it's critical, using that example of that oil and gas company with the owner, there's no sales staff. The sales staff is the owner. And so she's wearing all these hats, has so much to worry about. She's not thinking about how do I make my sales pitch better, because she knows it's a relationship. The beauty of having clear messaging in her situation as a small business owner is
that's really good.
When she goes into a sales call, she knows what to say. She knows how to be consistent and how to be succinct. And she knows how to keep the people talking and close that deal. And so that's my main encouragement in this this inconsistent messaging situation is like, hey, if you can have the same message and say it over and over and over again, then people will know what you do. And that's the problem with her space. Before we went through StoryBrand, which I'm sure we'll talk about on another episode, it was all over the place. It was look at our workplace metric, or check out this really fun bouquet of gifts that we gave out at a trade show. It was so confusing about what they did. And their brand, their business name is an acronym. So like none of that was working. And so when you're thinking about marketing as a whole, it's not just your sales call. It's your website, it's your emails that are going out, it's your LinkedIn presence, it's all aspects of marketing need to be saying the same thing. Because data has consistently shown that it takes at least 13 times for someone to hear a message and respond to it and remember it, I should say, for them to be effectively branded. That recall rate is what we're talking about. So 13 times. If you're resetting that counter every single time they engage with you, well, they're never going to remember who you are or what you do or the problem that you solve, which is the most important thing for them to remember. So
you never want your customers, even current customers, wondering, when I talk to the customer service rep versus the sales rep versus the CEO, am I going to get a different company? Because that's what people feel. You and I, you say this all the time in our messaging sessions, like you cannot read the label from inside the box. If you've been close to your product for so long, you forget how people view you, your buyer. And one of the biggest and easiest next steps that we have found in this process is getting your message clear in the realm of speaking to your customer's problem. Like that should be the first step. Get to know your customer. Get to know potential buyers' issues, understand them from a really psychological level, breaking down Maslow's hierarchy of needs, and then we can start to take action on like how great is your product. Right? You have to meet them where they're at.
Well, and I'll just dovetailing off of that. I want to speak directly to the business owner who's been around for 20, 30 years, who is like, well, this is how we've always done it.
Our favorite 30-year-old startups.
So if you rewind 20 years, Yellow Pages was still a thing. You'd still get this massive book, on your doorstep
Yep.
once a month or once a quarter or once a year. I don't remember how often it came, but, and one of our clients, AAA Paving, why AAA? Well,
top of yellow.
There were 5A, there were 6A, there were 10A, because if you had the greatest number of A's, then you were number one, because the market was not overly saturated. But right now the market is overly saturated, and we live in a post-trust world. Yeah. So we're screwed unless we have good messaging, because it's no longer visibility alone that closes the deal. Mm-hmm. You don't treat your website like a Yellow Pages listing with a phone number. It's so much more than that now, unfortunately. And it's just because we have so many competitors now. Yeah. And it's so easy to get into business, and it's so easy to say, hey, look how great I am. I've got a website. Because in the past, you had to have a brick and mortar space. Yeah. You had to have money to get going.
You think you need to communicate your differentiator, and that's going to be the thing that makes people buy. Yeah. So, especially small business owner, even a marketing manager, head of revenue, like what is their actionable step here for clarifying messaging?
Absolutely. Great question. So actionable step is you need to sit down and you need to have a framework for how you communicate. Yeah. If you don't have that for your business, there's really no other way to approach it, because it's going to end up getting jumbled, especially when you have other ideas and other people putting in. So you get a framework for your business communication plan. And we love using the StoryBrand framework. Yeah. It's great. It's easy for anyone to engage with. They recently rolled out a new tool, which we're going to talk about on another episode, but it's called StoryBrand.ai. So go sign up for that, go play with it, and it'll export all of that framework for you as long as you give it the right prompts. And so that's what I would say, like, whether you go through StoryBrand AI or you work with an agency like Good that focuses on guiding you through identifying, even if you're in the right niche in your space, and just getting that framework in place is foundational to any of your marketing.
Yeah, so I love it. Yeah, I love it. And I think, obviously you can always go over to goodagency.com. We've got a lot of resources, case studies there that can help you get that next step.
Yeah. So if this was helpful, if you feel like this is something that could be helpful for a friend or a coworker or colleague in the industry that you're in, feel free to share this episode. Share it with, we've got YouTube, we've got Apple Podcasts, we got Spotify, and here right on LinkedIn as well. So share it with friends and anyone who you think would be positively impacted. And thanks for enjoying a cup of coffee with us.